This little project is a request for a pair of clamps for a frame on a boat seat. I know very little about this. This was actually a request that somebody asked me to do for them. I'll regurgitate a little bit of how they explained to me how this all goes together. Right here is the framing for a seat. I believe this top plastic part right here is where the seat actually clamps into it. And then that framing right there straddles the part of the housing on the boat. It has the 4 legs that stick down. You got this one down here. That right there, they actually straddle, and this top sits on the top of the housing part. Right down here is actually the full assembly of one of the clamps. After it gets down, you just screw in the clamp. Where is it? And then it puts pressure on the housing, and then it's supposed to lock the framing into place. Originally the request was to take one of these C-clamp screws. The original request was to use the screw out of the C-clamp, well, it was a pair of C-clamps, chop the screw somewhere along the lines, take a slug, drill and tap a hole on the side of it, which is right here, and use that as the clamping system. After I looked farther into this clamp, rough dimensions on that, it's about a 5/8 10 Acme thread. I personally don't have any Acme tap sets here, period. The cost of buying one, guessing it was probably about $100 to buy a pair for a roughing and a finishing one. For a 2-piece project, that was a little bit steep of a cost. So the second thought was maybe to make a set of taps, or the third was to make a thread bar. It was to make a thread bar for this. I do have a 3/4 inch thread bar that I've used in the past, Acme 10. Didn't have anything small enough to go down to the 5/8, so the thought of using a 1/2 inch bolt, 1/2 inch 13 bolt, and making a clamp out of that. Show some pictures at the end of it. First thing I did was turn the ball on the end of it, on the end of the screw. Oh, excuse me, on the end of the bolt. Just turned the OD to a ball size that I was comfortable using. Used a 45 chamfer tool, chamfered both sides of the ball, and then just rounded it off with a file. It wasn't something that, had to be perfect. After that, I grabbed a center drill the end of the bolt, so you can see it down there. Pulled the bolt out as far as I could on the lathe, chucked on the hex end of it, brought the center up to the center drill part, picked up the thread, finished out the whole length of it, which you can see right here. After that, turned up a couple slugs. After that, flipped the bolt around, turned the hex of the bolt down to about 3/4 of an inch, chucked up a couple slugs, knurled the OD of them, bored out the ID of it to fit snug on the cap that we just turned down, to the hex that we just turned down, pressed it in, welded it together. You can see the lovely weld job there. And the bolt for it is complete. For the tip of it, I'm not exactly sure what this is called right here, so it can pivot around and self-align itself. Just found a piece of 4140 laying around, bored it out to a tight tolerance. I ain't gonna be able to get a good shot of this. Bored it out to a tight tolerance and made a slight undercut into it, so the tip of the bolt can snap down in place. As you can see, I flipped the framing over. I was asked only to make 2 of these clamps because sometimes this frame would sit on the housing how it is right now, and then sometimes it would get turned 90 degrees. And the person wanted to be able to take the bolts out and put them, I guess, always on the front so there were easy access to them. Being that they were going to be removable, I was looking for an easy way of locking them into place. So I ended up going with these hitch clips. Let me see if I can find one here. There we go. Went with these hitch clips in the body of the clamp. You can see right here. I just drilled 2 holes going all the way through. There's one. And there's a second one right there at 90 degrees apart. Was needed to mirror that onto the legs of this frame. So I made a little bit of this drill jig up right here. It was a piece of tubing that I had laying around. The idea of the tubing was about, I don't know, 30 thousandths too big. It actually sat on top of, where is it? It sat on top of the leg pretty loose. I mean, now it's pretty tight. Sat on there really loose. There was a lot of flop on there. So, what I did is I slapped in some weld, turned the ID of it, bored it out some, so it sat on here a bit more snugger. Put it on the mill, milled it flat, drilled the hole all the way down through, did a 90 with it, milled it flat, drilled the hole all the way down through, and used this as a jig. Show some pictures of it later. I ended up doing majority of this drilling on the drill press. It was a bit of a, I don't know, jury rig job, we'll say, but it ended up panning out pretty well. But I used this as a drill fixture, a drill jig, and it enabled me to get the holes on here, which enabled the clip to clip right into there. Being the head of this bolt right here, and whatever that's called right there, it snapped into place, as you see on this other one right here. Get out of here. It held on there pretty well by just snapping it on there, but I wanted to feel a little bit more comfortable, so you could see I turned a bit of a lip onto there, and then I just grabbed the center and just started whacking away at it, just to kind of roll it over. I have no way of rolling anything over here at home, so I went with that, and it seems to work out well. That's on there pretty well, and it doesn't come off with being able to pull it apart with your hands, so it should hold up pretty well. And that's about it.